Hi, this is Stuart Talley. I am the partner here responsible for the DePuy Pinnacle metal-on-metal hip litigation. The reason we're doing this video today is to provide another update on the ongoing trial that is currently happening in Dallas, Texas. This is the first Pinnacle metal-on-metal case to be tried anywhere in the country, and it is we are now on the third or fourth day of the trial. Today at trial, we heard from Andrew Ekdahl again. This is his second day on the stand. Mr. Ekdahl is the CEO of DePuy and was responsible for the hip unit back when the Pinnacle was first launched. If you've followed some of my previous videos, you'll know that one of the big defenses that the defendants have in this case, and one of the arguments that they're making, is that the plaintiff's hips, the reason that they failed was not because they were metal-on-metal hips, but it was because they were put in at an extreme angle. And when I say extreme angle, what I'm talking about is the angle of the cups. Cups could be put in, there's a ball in a cup and they put the cups in, and there's angles that go up and down and angles that go forward and backwards. And what the defendants have said is that there is a safe zone for the angles of these cups, and all surgeons know what these safe zones are, and they're blaming the plaintiff's surgeon for not putting these cups in this, what they call the safe zone. So today the plaintiff's attorney, Mark Lanier, was cross-examining DePuy CEO, and he asked him about the warnings and all of the literature that comes with the DePuy Pinnacle hips, and got him to admit that none of the literature that comes with the hip says anything about a safe zone or says anything about dangers or problems that can happen if the hips aren't put in at the right angles. Okay, this was pretty powerful because at one point he was going through some of the literature, and this is the literature that comes with the hip. And what he discovered and what he presented to Mr. Ekdahl was that there was actually a typo in the literature. At one point, they told doctors that the hip should be put in between 10 and 20 degrees. And then at another point, it said 10 to 30 degrees. Mr. Ekdahl couldn't explain it and basically said it must have been a typo. And it was a typo that was distributed to about 7,000 doctors. With 7,000 hips. So that was very powerful testimony. The other issue that was discussed was a series of emails that came out in 2009 and 2010. And this is a time period where DePuy was receiving lots of reports that these Pinnacle hips are failing. Instead of looking at their product or trying to see if their product was actually defective in some way, DePuy was really taking the position that it's the surgeon's fault, that the surgeons who are having problems with this hip are lazy, that they're not putting the hip in at the right angle. And so there was this email between various individuals at DePuy where employees of DePuy were saying that DePuy was, quote, losing credibility with the medical community on the issue of the angles. People in the medical community didn't like DePuy's position that these hips were failing at a high rate because of the angles that they were being put in, at least the cups were being put in. And so what the surgeons, or what DePuy decided to do, and what was discussed in these emails, was what they called an education campaign. They wanted to go out and educate surgeons on the importance of putting these cups in at the right angle. Now this was in stark contrast to DePuy's opening statement, where they told everybody that it's well known what the angles are that you should put these cups in. The plaintiff's attorney, or the defense attorney, talked about the safe zone and that all doctors know about the safe zone. And so you don't need to put it in the warning for the device. So what we have is emails showing that DePuy is actually contemplating starting an educational program on this very issue that supposedly everybody knows about. there was another set of emails where the idea of starting this educational campaign was being discussed, and the people who were in charge of putting together the educational materials started sending emails asking other engineers and surgeons what the ideal angle is. There's an email where the subject is, what is the ideal angle for their own hip? So what this shows is that years after they released this thing on the market, and what they're telling everybody now is that the angle is critical, what angle you should put it in at. Even in 2009, 2010, DePuy itself didn't know what angle was appropriate for these hips. Their own engineers didn't know. So that really undercut DePuy's defense that all surgeons know the appropriate angle to put the cups in, and that the problems with the plaintiff's hip were the surgeon's problems. It was his fault for not putting the cups in at the right angle. So that's where we ended with Mr. Ekdahl. I think those were sort of the high points of the testimony. There are many times where Mr. Ekdahl was forced to make some crucial admissions about what DePuy knew, what they did, and I think it was a very good day for the plaintiffs today. So if you have a Pinnacle hip and you want some more information about this trial, or if you want some information about your own legal rights and what you can do, feel free to give us a call. You can reach us at the phone number on the screen, or you can visit us through our website.